ॐ वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। वागर्थाविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्थप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। येनाक्षरसमाम्नायम् अधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अल्पाक्षरम् असन्दिग्धम्
अल्पाक्षरम् असन्दिग्धम्
सारवत् विश्वतो मुखम्
सारवत् विश्वतो
मुखम्
अस्तोभम् अनवद्यं च
अस्तोभम्
अनवद्यं च
सूत्रं सूत्रविदो विदुः
सूत्रं सूत्रविदुः
अयुन्
ऐवुन्
ऋलक्
ऋलक्
एओङ्
एओङ्
ऐ औच्
औच्
हयवरट्
हयवरट्
लण्
लण्
ञामङणनम्
ञमङणनम्
झभै
झबै
घढधश्
गडधश्
जबगडदश्
जबगडदश्
खफछठथ चटतौ
खफछठथौ चटतौ
कपै
कपै
शशसर्
शशर्
हल्
हल्
अकुगविसर्जनीयानां कण्ठः
अकुहविसर्जनीयानां कण्ठः
इचुयशानां तालु
इषुचैकानां तालुः
इचुयशानां तालु
इचुयशानां तालु
ऋटुरशानां मूर्धा
ऋतुरषाणां मूर्धा
लुतुलसानां दन्ताः
लुतुलसानां दन्ताः
ऊपु उपध्मानीयानाम् ओष्ठौ
ऊपूपद्मानीयानाम् ओष्ठौ
ञामाङणनानां नासिका च
नासिका च
एतैतो कण्ठतालु
एतैतयोः कण्ठतालु
ओदौ तोगो कण्ठ ओष्ठम्
ओदैतोः कण्ठ ओष्ठम्
वकारस्य दन्त ओष्ठम्
वकारस्य दन्तमोष्ठम्
जह्वामूलीयस्य जह्वामूल्यम्
जिह्वामूलीयस्य जिह्वामूल्यम्
नासिका अनुस्वारस्य
नासिकानुस्वारस्य
रामो राजमनिः सदा विजयते
रामो राजमनिः सदा विजयते
रामं रमेशं भजे
रामं रमेशं भजे
रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमूः
रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमूः
रामाय तस्मै नमः
रामाय तस्मै नमः
रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरम्
रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरम्
रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्
रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्
रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे
रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे
ओ राम मामुद्धरा
भो राम मामुद्धर
Today I will introduce the Kriya Padam. We will see the Kriya Padam, introduction to the Kriya Padam. Just a minute. Already we know what a Kriya Padam is. We have seen and did some practice. Have you seen Patati, Kadati, etc.?
Yes, Guruji.
We have done, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes, Guruji.
We have done some practice from the book Saṃskṛtam Class. So already we know. So a little deeper into it and more Kriya Padam we will see. So the Kriya Padam, as I told before, the Kriya Padam derived from the Dhatu. Kriya Padam is the Saṃskrita name for the verbal form. Noun form and verbal form, all these things we learned in the beginning. Noun base, noun form. Verbal root, verbal form. Noun base is called Pratipadikam. Noun form is called Namapadam. Verbal root is called Dhatu. Dhatuhu. Dadati poshati iti dhatuhu. Dhatu is that which nourishes the language. Dha. Dudhaj. Dharana poshana yoho. The meaning of the dhatu, to nourish. So dhatus which are those which nourish the language. All the words of the language, if you see, it can be traced to some dhatu. So dhatu having the meaning dhatu artha, from which the dhatus, the words are derived, and the derived words are only they only make the language. We will talk about that in detail later, but now this much is enough. That is, from the dhatu, the kriya padam, the verbal form is derived. So from a pratipadikam, namapadam is derived. From a dhatu, kriya padam is derived. Later we will see, when we progress a little advanced, then we will see from a dhatu we can derive a pratipadikam also. That is a little higher level, long way to go. And these verbal roots are listed in the form of a grantha, a book. It's called Dhatu Pata. Dhatu Pata is a grantha, is a book which contains a list of dhatus and the meaning of the dhatus, written by Panini Maharishi. There are many Dhatu Patas available, but the most famous one is the Dhatu Pata, written by Panini Maharishi. So Kshira Tarangini is there, Madhavya Dhatu Pata is there, many Dhatu Patas are there. Just to know the meaning, just hear the name, that's enough. We are not going to refer those granthas now, but those are the source book from which the dhatus are known, dhatu and the dhatu artha, meaning of the dhatu also. Now, from the dhatu, as I said, kriya padam is derived from the verbal root. Verbal forms are derived. And the verbal form, the kriya padam, what you derive can be in the first person or second person or third person. And it is in keeping with the agent of the sentence, the agent in the sentence. In English, say for example, we have three persons. In all the language, it is the first person, second person, third person. So first person, I or we in English. In Saṃskṛtam, we have dual also, dvivachanam. So I eat, it is first person. In Saṃskṛtam, first person is called, we know, Uttama Purusha. So I eat, first person singular. And the kriya padam is eat. We eat, again it is first person, it is plural, Bhagavachanam. Eat is a kriya padam. And in Madhyama Purusha, second person, you eat. Eat is a kriya padam. You all eat. Eat is a kriya padam. Here you don't see any change in the kriya padam. And in the third person, if you see, third person referring to those which are other than you and me. That is, they, he, she, it could be anything. They eat, it is plural. Eat is a kriya padam. He eats, she eats, it eats. You can see here the kriya padam is eats. All are third person singular kriya padam eats. So in English, the kriya padam eat, eats. Only two changes, two differences are there, with yes, without yes. But in Saṃskṛtam, we have one more vachanam, and the kriya padam, the rupam, the form of the kriya padam, changes completely with the person and the number. Changes completely with the person and number. In Saṃskṛtam, the verbal forms change with the person and the number. We know this. Patati. Patati means someone reads. If I read, I say patami. Similarly, if many people read, te patanti, chatraha patanti, Bhagavachanam, changes with the Vachanam number. As it is in the English or another language, same thing also in Saṃskṛtam. In English, you don't see the difference, much difference. Only the yes alone, the difference you see here in English. But in Saṃskṛtam, the difference is very prominent. You can see that differences. So now, just recalling, Uttama Purusha means first person. This is generally confused by mistake. Sometimes we take Prathama Purusha to be first person, but note it is not first person, it is third person. Should not literally translate Prathama to first. Prathama Purusha is third person. Madhyama Purusha is second person. Uttama Purusha is first person. So Uttama Purusha being I, we all. Madhyama Purusha being you two, you all. Therefore, Prathama Purusha must be other than you and me. That's the best way to note, understand. Other than the above. That is neither you nor me. That is Prathama Purusha. That is covers everything. Everything other than you and me. Anything you name, anything you refer to, any object, anything in the world, any person other than you and me, Prathama Purusha. So, the Kriya Padam derived from the Dhatu changes with the person and changes with the number, like in any other language. Introduction to Kriya Padam. And Padam, as I told before, Padam is a technical word. We retain the Sanskrita word itself. Padam means word. Shabda also means word when you translate into English. But there is a difference in Sanskritam. Shabda and Padam are not equal. Shabda and Padam are not equal. That is why I gave the translation. Shabda meaning the noun base. Padam means it's a what Padam, Kriya Padam or Nama Padam we have to know. Then only we can say whether it is noun form or verbal form. So that is why better to use Samskrita word. And Padam is a technical word. That is called Padam, which has the pratyaya, the suffixes. There are suffixes added to the Prakriti. Prakriti, what I mean by Prakriti is the noun base and dhatus are called Prakriti. Prakriti plus pratyaya gives you the Padam. If the Prakriti is dhatu, and the pratyaya is supratyaya, we will talk about that supratyaya. Maybe I can show you what it is for a quick reference. You can see in the screen supratyaha, su, aujas, sam, auchas, tabhyam, bis, all those things. You need not know these things now, but just see, that is enough. These are the pratyas. These are the pratyas added to the shabda. These are the pratyas added to the Shabda. If you take suppose Rama Shabda, you know Rama Shabda is Akarantaha, Pullingaha, Rama Shabdaha, Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Ramanu, Ramena, Ramabhyam, Ramaihi. The forms are there. The forms are derived by adding the Pratipadika Rama, by adding these pratyas with the Pratipadika Rama. When you add supratyaya to Rama, it becomes Ramaha. Don't ask how it becomes Ramaha. That is out of scope now. We will not understand now. Just no, these are the pratyas. Similarly, Rama plus A will become Ramo. Rama plus just will become Ramaha. So these are the pratyas. Why it is called supratyaha, starting from the Pratama Vibhakti Ekavachanam, where the pratyaya beginning with the su, and Saptami Vibhakti Bhagavachanam, where you see the pratyaya ending with pakara. So first pratyaya and the last letter of the pratyaya both are joined and become sup. it's a short form. It's a short form to represent all the pratyas. Supratyaya we say. So supratyas are those pratyas which are added to the prakriti, and the prakriti has to be a pratipadikam. Similarly, for the kriya padam, the prakriti is dhatu and the pratyas added are ting pratyas. Ting pratyas, pratyaya meaning suffix, and ting pratyas, ting suffixes are added to the dhatu. Ting pratyas are added to the dhatus to derive the kriya padam. Okay, ting pratyas. Ting pratyas, you can see starting tip tas ji, sip tas ta, mip pasma, starting from tip, ending with mahing, ta atham ja, thas atham dum, it vahi mahing. Last letter is nakara. So beginning with the first letter ti and ending with the last letter nakara. So think when you say it covers all the 18 pratyas, suffixes. These pratyas are added to dhatus and you get kriyapadam. So if the prakriti is dhatu, you add ting pratyaya to get kriyapadam. If the prakriti means that which is raw, unrefined. It could be a dhatu or it could be a pratipadikam. If it is a pratipadikam, then you add a subpratyaya. If the prakriti is pratipadikam, then you add subpratyaya to get namapadam. If the prakriti is dhatu, you add ting pratyaya to get kriya padam. So padam is now what? It's a technical word. Padam is that which end with, that's important, which end with ting pratyaya or supratyaya, which ends with supratyaya or ting pratyaya. If it ends with supratyaya, it is called subantam or namapadam. If it ends with ting pratyaya, it is called tingantam or kriyapadam. Do you follow?
Yes, Guruji, little.
Repeat
Yes,
once.
I gave a little more, it's okay. But if you have any doubt or any clarification, please ask. I'm going to repeat this later. And I have said this before, it is not new. In the beginning, if you see, Prakriti, Pratyaya, all those things we discussed. If you have doubt, please ask anybody.
No, not right now. I think we will have to go through one class again.
Sir, repeat what things when it is end with we have to kriya padam ting pratyaya.
Ting pratyaya, see pratyaya meaning suffixes. Okay.
Yes.
In English, we have suffix and prefix. Similarly, in Saṃskṛtam also, we have suffix and prefix. You understand what is suffix? Eat is the eating, ing is the suffix. It's called gerund in English. In
Yes,
English,
yes.
we have eat and participle is that eat, ate, eaten.
Right.
The suffixes. Think, thought, suffixes. Similarly, Saṃskṛtam, we have a lot of suffixes. Now, mainly there are two important suffixes, pratyayas. Let me use Saṃskṛta word, pratyaya. Pratyaya meaning suffix. Two important suffixes are there. One is sup suffixes, sup pratyaya. Other one is ting pratyaya. Sup pratyayas are those pratyayas which are added to the prakriti, and the prakriti has to be what?
Pratipadika.
Pratipadikam. Ting pratyayas are those pratyayas which are added to the prakriti, and the prakriti is
Dhatu.
dhatu. So now you see my screen, blank screen.
Yes.
Prakriti plus pratyaya gives you, for now you understand like this, doesn't create any problem now. Prakriti plus pratyaya, you get padam. It is not only padam anyway. For now it is okay. Prakriti plus pratyaya is padam, because we can derive pratipadikam also. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. Now, if the prakriti is dhatuhu, then you add the pratyaya, ting pratyaya. That ting pratyaya, the list of pratyayas which I showed just now. Ting
Yes.
pratyaya. So, if this is a format, prakriti plus pratyaya. See, we have in Vedanta also prakriti plus prakriti and purusha we say.
Yes.
Sankhya, they say prakriti, purusha, etc. Prakriti means that which is raw, the base material, the unrefined. It becomes refined when you add the pratyaya. Only when you add the pratyaya, it becomes refined and it is usable.
Yeah.
Similarly, in the language, if the prakriti is dhatu, then the pratyaya has to be ting pratyaya, adding which you get kriya padam. Similarly, if the prakriti is pratipadikam, then you cannot add ting pratyaya. You have to add supratyaya. The supratyaya, what I showed you now, the list of the pratyayas, 21 pratyayas. Pratipadikam plus supratyaya will give you what padam? Nama padam.
Namapadam.
So now padam is a technical word which you can see, kriya padam, nama padam. Therefore, I said padam is that which ends with either ting pratyaya, either ting or sup. You understand?
Yes.
Padam is that which ends with either ting pratyaya or sup pratyaya. If it ends with ting pratyaya, it is called kriya padam.
Kriyapadam.
If it ends with, that is the prakriti. Sorry, if it ends with
Supra.
ting pratyaya, if it ends with ting,
Yeah.
it is called
Kriyapadam.
kriya padam. Kriya padams are those which are derived from the dhatu. If it ends with sup, then it is called
Namapadam.
namapadam. Namapadam already we saw Rama Shabda, Hari Shabda, Guru Shabda, etc. This padam familiarity already we know.
Yes.
We have done translation, reading,
Yes.
etc. All these things we know. Kriya padam also we know. Just I'm giving you the technical background. Okay, and we are going to see little more into that later. So now we understand padam. Padam is a technical word.
Yes.
If it ends with, I said, therefore, kriya padam is that which ends with ting. Therefore, it can be called ting plus anta. Anta means end. So what will become? It's called
Ting.
tinganta.
Tingal.
Tinganta. So I can call the kriya padam as the verbal form as kriya padam or tinganta. So you need to understand. Tinganta means verbal
What?
form, kriya padam. Similarly, nama padam ends with sup. Sup plus padam will become
Supra.
subantam. So not sup plus padam, sup plus antam. Okay, sup plus antam.
Antam. Okay.
Here it will become subantam. How it become ba and all out of scope. We'll see that later. That involves sandhi knowledge. So that we have to see. Sandhi is the next topic, not the next topic. Maybe the topic comes a little later.
Yes.
That time we will see. So note these words. These words are known to you already.
Yes.
the beginning itself, we saw this. That the familiarity should be there. I hope it should be there because we have seen, I have used these words.
Yes, yes.
So Tingantam Subantam. And later we will use only these words here. You will see. So there is no choice. You have to know this. So
Yes.
Tingantam Subantam. Just note, these are just a name, other name for the Kriya Padam and Namapadam, respectively. So Tingantam is another name for Kriya Padam. Subantam is another name for Namapadam.
Yes, Guruji.
That is why I said the pada is a technical word, because I use the word sup and thing to refer to the word. Thing and sup are suffixes, pratyayas. Therefore, it is little technical. That's why I said padam is a technical word. English translation of the word padam is word. Shabda is also a word, but they are not same. Understand?
Yeah.
Now, this is enough. Now we will continue. You'll see. A sentence in general will have a subject or a noun form with a verb. A sentence must have a verb. Verb means verbal form. Okay. In English, it's called a verb. For our understanding, I just use the word verbal form because the verbal form derived from the verb, we say dhatu. So to distinguish, I use the word verbal form. Dhatu meaning verb, Kriya Padam meaning verbal form. If I use verb for both, that will be confusing. So that's why I'm using verbal form for Kriya Padam, the English word verbal form for Kriya Padam, and verb for Dhatu. Or better drop English word, use Saṃskṛta word. A sentence must have a Kriya Padam. If a sentence is a Kriya Padam itself is a sentence. Patati, suppose if we say, just say Patati, nothing else, just Patati. Patati is a Kriya Padam, right? And it is a sentence. We need not have the agent, I means the subject, etc. Nothing, not required. Just say Patati is a Kriya Padam. Why? Because Patati tells you the person. Who is the person? Is it you or me? Somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Rama, Krishna, somebody.
Hmm.
And how many people are there? How many
One.
people are reading?
One.
It's
One.
also understood from the Kriya Padam. So,
Yes.
Ekating Vakyam. Yeah, a thing anta, that is Kriya Padam, itself is a Vakya, it's a sentence. Just saying Patati, we infer that the person is Prathama Purusha and the number is Ekavachana.
Right.
However, it is a Vakya, it's a sentence. Okay. So if the agent is not there, we understand. The agent must be Saha or Ayam or Ramaha, Krishna, somebody we are talking about, referring to, right? It's a sentence. Okay, but a basic sentence, therefore a basic sentence must have a verb and the subject. A simple sentence, a basic sentence must have a verb, that is a Kriya Padam, and the agent, the noun has to be there. For example, if you take the English sentence, Rama reads. So reads is a verb, the Kriya Padam, Rama is the subject, first person, singular, Prathama Purusha. I mean, in English it is third person, not first person, Prathama Purusha in Saṃskṛtam. Now, the sentence, he is Rama, if you take, he is Rama. Here is, in English, is the verbal form, the Kriya Padam. He, the subject, and Rama is there. Here there is no Kriya. Where is Kriya? Rama, is he doing any action? No.
No.
So there is no physical action involved. But in Sanskritam, what we do? Saha, Ramaha, we say, and Asti always we say supply, we can supply.
Hmm.
Asti meaning is.
Yes.
Asti or Bhavati. Saha Ramaha. He is Rama. In English, we have to say he is Rama. Is you have to pronounce. It has to be there. E Rama you cannot say. If you say E Rama, they will read Hey Rama. It's a problem. He is Rama. Is has to be there. Samskritam Saha Ramaha. It's enough. Even if you don't say is, that is Asti, it is understood. Asti is always is there. There is nothing which without Asti. So you can see Vedanta also in this. That which is existing or existent, that only you can talk about. You cannot talk about a non-existent thing. Everything is Asti. In the world, everything is Asti. Everything is. That is called Sat. In Vedanta, we say Sat, Chit, Ananda. That's Sat. That existence. So Asti, everything is Asti. Brahma Asti. In the form of the Prapancha, the world, Asti Eva. So nothing which is not Asti. There is nothing called Nasti. That's why Nastika itself is a foolish thing. Atheism itself is not, cannot be there. Atheism is Asti. That Asti is Ishvara Bhagavan, we say. So, therefore, Saha Ramaha, when we say, Asti is understood. Even if you don't say, it is understood. So, what I'm saying is, there is no sentence without Kriya Padam. Saha Ramaha, where is Kriya Padam? No, sir, Asti, it is there. Even if it is not there, you supply it, we say. So, we can understand no sentence without the Kriya Padam. There can be sentence without the subject. As I said, just Patati itself is a sentence. But there cannot be sentence without the Kriya Padam. If Kriya Padam is not there, we supply. And in the form of Astya Bhavati. Okay. No, is Rama is a simple sentence that we saw already. Saha Rama Hasti, etc. Now, little more into it. That is using a proper a verb. Rama reads. The reads gives you the information about the subject, the agent of the sentence, the agent of the kriya, the action. How many persons are reading, and is it first person or second person or third person, and whether it is present tense or past tense or future tense. All those information are given by the kriya padam reads. It's important. Reads is a, therefore it is present tense. And it is ekavachanam, singular. One person, Rama. And it is ekavachanam, and it is Rama, and person is third person. So all the information are given by the Kriya Padam. That is why Kriya Padam is important. First you have to find out the Kriya Padam in the sentence. From the Kriya Padam only, we will connect, we will bring in the other words. Other words are connected to the Kriya Padam. So, first to find out the Kriya Padam in a Vakyam, we will ask a question and get answers. The other words in the sentence, they will be the answer for the questions we ask to the Kriya Padam. Who reads? What does he read? Where does he read? How does he read? All the answers, no, they will form the remaining part of the sentence. So the read, the Kriya Padam is very important. That's why always we have to look for the Kriya Padam in the sentence. Now, going further, each subject has a different derivation based on the number and case. In keeping with the noun in number and person, the verbal forms in singular, dual, and plural denoting action join with the noun to form a grammatically valid sentence. Each subject has a different derivation based on the number and case means what? If you take Rama Shabda, Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, based on the number and case. Case is the vibhaktis.
Hmm.
Vibhakti means Pratama Vibhakti, Dvitiya Vibhakti, we will see. Pratama Vibhakti denotes the subject, Dvitiya Vibhakti denotes the karma, the object. That which is the object in sentence will be represented in Dvitiya Vibhakti. That which is the subject of the sentence will be represented in Pratama Vibhakti. So, therefore, a Shabda, a Pratipadikam has got different derivation. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. Rama is a Pratipadikam. It has got 21 forms. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramau, Ramana, Ramena, Ramabhyam, Ramehi. Iti 21 forms are there. In keeping with the noun, the agent in the sentence, in terms of its number and person, the verbal form has to be matching with that to form a grammatically valid sentence. Ramaha asti. Ramo, you should not say asti. Ramo staha. Why staha? Because Rama is Ram. There the subject is Dvivachanam, two people. And it is staha, and because it is Rama is Pratama Purusha. You don't say swaha. Asmi swaha smaha. Swaha is Uttama Purusha, but Rama is Pratama Purusha. So for a grammatically valid sentence, the subject and the noun has to match in terms of number and in terms of the person. Basic thing is that. Understand? Yes?
Yes, Guruji.
Now,
Yes.
in this
Yes.
section, we will be introduce some of the important verbal forms. All verbal forms are derived from the verbal roots. This is what I said in the beginning. The Kriya Padams are derived from the Dhatu. The verbal root is called Dhatuhu, we know. Dadhati, Dharati, Poshati, Va, Sahat, Dhatuhu. The etymological derivation of the word Dhatu, of the word Dhatu is derived. Dadhati, Dharati, Poshati. Poshati means nourishes. Dharati is supports. Dadhati supports. That which supports, nourishes the language is called a Dhatu. Without Dhatu, there is no language. So, the language is enriched by the Dhatu. That's why it's called Dhatuhu. And a Dhatu can be a Parasmaipadi or Atmanipadi. What is this? That we will see. Parasmaipadi, Atmanipadi, etc. We have to see. But you can note. Based on the Dhatu, whether it is Parasmaipadi or Atmanipadi, the Pratyas, what you add to form a Kriya Padam, that differs. If the Dhatu is Parasmaipadi, then the Pratyas should be or has to be Tiptasji, Siptastha, Mipvasmas. These are the Pratyaya. Or if this is difficult, you can take this one. This is easy because we have seen Titahanti, Titahanti, Sitahata, Mivaha, Maha. These are the Pratyayas added to the Parasmaipadi Dhatus. If the Dhatu is Atmanepadi, then Te, Ate, Ante. Se, Ate, Dve. Ye, Vakhe, Make. These Pratyayas should be added if it is Atmanipadi. So first you have to find out whether the Dhatu is Parasmaipadi or Atmanipadi. To begin with, we will deal only with Parasmaipadi. So need not bother about Atmanipadi. When it comes, we will think about that. So don't worry about Atmanipadi. Just to know, Dhatus are classified into Parasmaipadi and Atmanipadi. That much is enough. That is why I have written, about which we will discuss later. Like a noun base, which can be declined for its cases 7 plus 1 and numbers 3. So 8 into 3, 24 noun forms. Similarly, a dhatu can be declined for the persons. 3 persons are there: Pratama Purusha, Madhyama Purusha, Uttama Purusha, and 3 Vachanam, Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bhagavachanam. Therefore, 9 verbal forms. So, Pratyayas are 9. Therefore, the forms of the dhatu will be 9. The Kriya Padam will be 9. Patati, patataha, patanti, patasi, patataha, patata, patami, patavaha, patamaha. Pat dhatu is parasmipadi. Therefore, you add this pratyaya, you get the present tense form. Present tense form, patati, patataha. If dhatu is atmanepadi, then you have to add this pratyaya. So how many forms are there? Titahanti, sitahata, nivahamaha, 9 forms. And atmanepadi also 9 forms. So 9 plus 9, 18 are there. 18 pratyas are there. Parasmipadi 9, atmanepadi 9. If it is parasmipadi, then 9 forms. Atmanepadi, then also 9 forms. If it is both, it can be both. It can take either of the pratyaya. Then it can be 18. It can have 18 forms. 9 plus 9, 18. So a dhatu, you can see a dhatu can be declined. Like a shabda is declined. So my dhatu can be declined in these 9 forms, verbal forms. Let us take the simple dhatu, pat dhatu. Pat means to read. Pat is a dhatu. I use this square root symbol just to show it. It is a root, okay, verbal root. That's why square root symbol you will see. This is verbal root. Pat dhatu. The declension of pat dhatu meaning to read. For pratama purusha, ekavachanam in the present tense, vartamana kalaha. Present tense is vartamana. You can note here, technical word for present tense is lataha. You can note lataha, just call lat. Technical name for present tense is lat. You see my cursor, you see where lataha is there, lat. The technical name. Understand? You see that?
Yes.
Like padam is a technical word. Similarly, lat also a technical word for present tense. Either I can use vartamana kala, or I just simply say lat. Lat lakara, I will say. You have to understand. Lat is a technical name used by Panini Maharishi. So therefore, only we are using all the terms which are used by Panini Maharishi. Because the Vyakaranam is based on Panini Maharishi's Vyakaranam, Ashtadhyayi. So therefore, the technical words which he uses only we also use. So lat. Now, pat dhatu, pratama purusha, ekavachanam rupam is patati. Pat is a dhatu to which the ti, the suffix is added. By default, as I said, we will discuss only lat lakara, that is vartamana kalaha, that is present tense. So in the present tense, the rupam, the form of pat dhatu is patati. Pat plus ti becomes patati. It doesn't become patti. Note, pat plus ti doesn't become patti. Yes, something happens that we will see later. But I'm just writing this letter A is there. You can see pat plus A plus ti. Takara plus A will become tha, pata, pata plus ti, patati. How this A comes, don't ask, that we will see later. Okay. Dhatu is just pat and the Kriya Padam is patati. And we note, and we know the notation, the Roman symbol on the numerator side. You know, it stands for the Purusha, and the denominator stands for the Vachanam. This is my way of representing the Kriya Padam so that you can understand easily. 3-1 when you see. So it is Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. Okay, so patati. So pat dhatu with ti suffix. It is Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. Ramaha is Prathama Purusha. Ramaha is because somebody else, not you, not me, somebody else. It is Prathama Purusha, Prathama Vibhakti, Ekavachanam of the Shabda Rama, which is Akaranta Pullinga Shabda. And the Dhatu Pat meaning to read, when you decline for Prathama Purusha Ekavachana, it is Patati. So therefore, Rama reads will be Ramaha Patati. Here you can see Ramaha, it is Prathama Vibhakti. Therefore, the numerator 1 stands for Vibhakti and the denominator stands for Vachanam. This is for the Namapadam. For the Namapadam, numerator stands for Vibhakti, denominator stands for Vachanam. For the Kriya Padam, the numerator stands for Purusha, the denominator stands for Vachanam. These are our notations for understanding the sentence. So Ramaha Patati, when it is there, you have to watch the denominator. Denominator should match. That is, the Vachanam should match. You cannot say Ramo Patataha, or you cannot say Ramaha Patataha or Patanti. These are wrong. So that's why to form a grammatically valid sentence, the Kriya Padam and the Namapadam has to match in terms of Purusha and in terms of number. Purusha also important. We cannot say Aham Patati, that is wrong. Aham is Uttama Purusha. How can it be Patati? Patami it is. So when you read the sentence Ramaha Patati, so Rama is the agent, is a doer of the action, and the action is reading action. So Rama is a Padam, Ramaha is a Padam, and Patati is Padam, another Padam. This is Kriya Padam, and Ramaha is Nama Padam. Because Rama is a Karta, therefore we can say Ramaha is Kartru Padam. Kartru is Karta, the doer, the agent. And Patati is Kriya, Pat, meaning to read, the Kriya, the action is there, the Padam which conveys the action. It's called Kriya Padam. So Patati. The word Ramaha derived from Pratipadika Rama, we know. And Ramaha is Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachan Nama Padam, we know. Who is the Karta, the agent of the action reading, and therefore Ramaha is Kartrupadam. And Ramaha, as I said, can be marked 1-1, where the numerator stands for Vibhakti and denominator stands for Vachanam. Remember this notation. You must be familiar with this notation. Already we are studying like that. And Patati is Prathama Purusha Ekavachana Kriya Padam, and it can be marked Roman letter. Here for the Kriya Padam, the Roman letter will be there on the numerator side. And here it 3 stands for Prathama Purusha, and 1 the denominator stands for Vachanam, which is Ekavachanam. So Ramaha Patati is a valid sentence. Therefore, we can mark the sentence like this, Ramaha Patati. So where the Rama is Prathama Purusha, is a Karta, the subject of the Kriya, and it is Ekavachanam. And therefore, the Kriya Padam should also conform with the Karta in Vachanam and Purusha. So either way, if you are seeing from the standpoint of Rama, then the Kriya Padam has to match in terms of the Purusha and the Vachanam of the subject. Or if you see from the standpoint of the Kriya Padam, the subject has to match in terms of the Purusha and the number. Don't confuse with this one of the Namapadam. That the one the numerator stands for the Vibhakti. It stands for the Vibhakti. Denominator is Vachanam. Then this is Prathama Purusha. This is Purusha. In Kriya Padam it is Purusha. Denominator is Vachanam. Patati is there. It is Prathama Purusha. But how do you know Rama is Prathama Purusha? How do you know Rama is Prathama Purusha? Rama is Prathama, because it is neither you nor me. It is neither Madhyama Purusha nor Uttama Purusha, right? Therefore, it is Prathama Purusha. Suppose instead of Rama, if it is Tvam is there, then it cannot be Patati. If it is tvam, yuvam, yuyam, or aham, avam, vayam, then it is not patati, right? So other than this, any of the 6 words, aham, avam, vayam, tvam, yuvam, yuyam, other than these 6 words, any other word is there, it has to be what Purusha? What Purusha?
Prathama Purusha.
So do you want to mention here one more here, Prathama Purusha? Not required. That is why not mentioned here. This question some people may ask, why Prathama Purusha is, why Rama is not Prathama Purusha, not indicated, not required. Because otherwise the notation has, the sign has to become bigger and bigger, not required, right? Understand my point?
Yes,
Yes.
Guruji.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Guruji.
So Rama is as Prathama Purusha need not be indicated by the Ram. That's not required. That is taken care by the Kriya Padam itself, Patati, where we are mentioning that. Right? Therefore, there is no need for you to mention this. By saying the word Rama itself, you know it is neither you nor me. It is neither Prathama Purusha nor it is Uttama Purusha. It has Prathama Purusha. Therefore, you don't have to specify in the Nama Padam that it is Prathama Purusha. It is enough to mention what Vibhakti is that. So numerator stands for Vibhakti and denominator stands for Vachanam for the Nama Padam. You
Yes.
have to be familiar with this notation. It's very important. In future, we'll be using this. Okay. Whereas for the Kriya Padam, it is Purusha and Vachanam. Kriya Padam, you have to mention the Purusha. Because the declension is based on the Purusha only. Right? Okay. So, in the above example, Ramaha Patati, there is conformity with the Vachanam and the Kriya Padam itself indicates the Purusha of the Karta. The conformity of the Vachanam is very important to make a sensible sentence. Okay, fine. Examples for the usage of Patati. Ramaha Patati, Rama Patati. Now you see here, this is Ramaha is Pullinga, Rama is Strilinga. Doesn't matter. The Patati continues to be Patati only, irrespective of the gender. Whoever it treats, whether it is Pullinga, Srilinga, Napumsakalinga, the Kriya Padam has to be same, like in English only. English also based on the number only it changes, right? He eats, they eat. The Kriya Padam changes with the number, doesn't change with the gender. So gender has no impact on the form of the Kriya Padam. Understand?
Yes.
So Ramaha Patati, Rama Patati, Saha Patati, Sa Patati, Esha Patati, Esha Patati, Ayam Patati, Iyam Patati, or Tat Patati. Whatever maybe you can add Etat Patati, Tat Patati, Napumsakalinga form also. Patati will remain Patati only, irrespective of the gender. Whether it is whether it is Pullinga or Srilinga, Napumsakalinga, doesn't matter. So now, understand up to this, is it clear? The Kriya Padam in detail we have discussed. Already we are familiar. Now little more into it, you can see. What are the data which the Kriya Padam gives? Please watch here, important. Let us learn a few Kriya Padam. We know little. We will further elaborate on that. You see now, lik. Lik is a dhatu from which we get the likati, the form, which is Prathama Purusha, Ekavachanam, meaning writes. He writes, somebody writes. Similarly, kad becomes kadati, eats, he eats. Nam, to salute, namati. Drish, dhatu is drish. From drish dhatu, you get pashyati. Note this. This form is pashyati, not drishati. Drish is a dhatu and the pashyati is a kriya padam. The form is completely different. You have to note. You have to remember this. Drish
Yes.
is a dhatu, pashyati is a form. Don't say drishati, that is wrong. Okay. Lik becomes likati, khad kadati, nam nabati, pat patati, drish pashyati, not drishati. Similarly, pa is pibati, not pati. Pa means to drink. Similarly, gum becomes gachati, not gamati. So these are irregular forms, they say. Yeah, irregular forms. Don't worry. That irregular or regular what? That is, we will. You have to know the form. That's all. How it is derived all later. It's a little advanced that we will see later when the time comes. You need to know the forms of the dhatu. Dhatu as well as the forms you need to know. See, you need to know these things. One is dhatu, verbal root, and what is the meaning and what is its form. Three things you have to know. Verbal root, dhatu, the meaning of the dhatu in English, and the form of the dhatu. Likati, likataha. Once you know one form, likati, if you know, other forms you can easily derive. Likati, likataha, likanti, likasi, likataha. Like patati, if you know, then you can derive the other forms. Patati is there. Patati, patataha, patanti, patasi, patataha. One dhatu, remember all the forms. Other forms you can derive. It's not exactly, I mean, it's not completely like that. Most of the dhatus it is like that. Other dhatus, the rupam will change. That when it changes, that time you will see. Don't worry about that. So pashyati, if you know one form, pashyati, which is derived from the dhatu drish. Pashyati, if you know, and patati already you know all the forms of patati. So in the same way you can decline pashyati, pashyati, pashyataha, pashyanti. Like patati, you do that. So patati, since you remember, since you know, pashyati, you can say pashyati, pashyataha, pashyanti, pashyasi, pashyataha, pashyata, pashyami, pashyavaha, pashyamaha. Like Namapadam Visa, Rama Shabda, you know. Then all the other Karanta Pullinga Shabdas, you know. Krishna, you know. Vriksha, you know. Parvata, you know. Similarly, here also. So Patati, the Kriya Padam, you have to memorize. Patati, Patataha, Patanti, the Rupam, the forms, you have to know it. Once you know, and if you know one form of this irregular dhatus, other forms can be easily you can derive it. Okay. Now, here you can see the ti that is called the pratyaya. About pratyaya, we saw introduced in the beginning. Ti is the
Yes.
first pratyaya of the thing set of suffixes, pratyayas. The ti indicates important, gives a lot of information. You can see, indicates the following. What is that? First, the doer of the action. Likati, suppose if you take likati, ti tells you the doer. Who is the doer? Somebody, Rama or Ramaha. It refers to the agent of the kriya, the action. Who does that kriya? That ti refers to that person or that object. Second one tells you what voice is that, whether it is active voice or passive voice. In Saṃskṛtam, we have one more voice. Impersonal passive voice also is that we will see later. Bhave Prayoga. So that also tells you. Then what tense is that? Present tense or past tense or future tense? In Saṃskṛtam, we have 6 plus 4 tenses and moods are there. It's a big subject. Tinganta is a very big subject. Anyway, lat, lakara, present tense only, we are interested now. So T tells you that tense is present tense. And number 4 tells you what person, what purusha is that. Prathama purusha, madhyama, uttama. That also is present. That information also is given by the suffix. Then what vachanam, singular or dual or plural. One more also we can add anyway. This much is enough now. So all the information are given by simple suffix T. You see, T is a simple letter, takara plus E, T. How much information it gives. Tells you who the subject is, who is the doer of the action, and tells you whether it is active voice or passive voice or impersonal passive voice, and what tense is that, and what person and what vachanam. And one more thing, as I said, it is parasmaipadi. If it is te, then it is atmanepadi. It tells you that dhatu is atmanepadi. Here, by default, we are dealing only with parasmaipadi dhatus. Therefore, T tells you that the lik is a a parasmaipadi dhatu. Therefore, only ti is there. Understand? Any doubt in this?
No, Guru.
No, Guruji. It is clear.
Okay. I think up to this, it's enough today.
One thing,
Yeah.
see, if you say Sahar Ramaha Patati,
Hmm.
so in that, what is Saha? Ramaha is a subject,
Hmm.
but what is Saha is?
Saha Ramaha patati. In that,
Huh?
that Rama is reading Saha Ramaha patati. Saha is adjectival pronoun.
Okay, okay, Guruji, thank you.
You are qualifying Rama by the Saha. That's all. Right?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay, I think we can stop here. If you have doubt, you can ask. And more Kriya Padam will come. So you need to remember, as I told, Dhatu, the meaning and the forms. And the irregular forms also you have to remember. This you have to work. Okay. We will do a lot of abhyasa in the class. So we'll stop
Yes.
here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवादः गुरुजी.
धन्यवादः गुरुजी.
Dhanyavada.